Hey everybody, Jeb Gerald here with Plentiful Wealth. I want to thank you for joining me at my next whiteboard session. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to turn your retirement savings into your retirement paycheck. It's one of the questions I get often. You've probably been tired of hearing me say that again, but this really is one of the questions that when people are looking at retiring, they always want to know. I've saved up all this money, I have a 401k, I have a Roth IRA, I have savings sitting over here. How do I turn that into a paycheck that's going to just show up on the first of every month so that I can pay my bills? Because that's what it's all about, making sure that you can continue your lifestyle and not have to worry. So what I want to do is introduce you to Frank. Frank's not a real person, but Frank is an avatar for many clients that I've worked with over the last several years. Frank worked at UPS. He saved well. He's got about $1.2 million saved up between his 401k, his Roth IRA, and then he has a UPS stock as well, which is just sitting out there. He's going to have a pension of $4,000. It's going to start at age 62. And then he also has $2,000 in Social Security that he can start taking when he hits 67. So we're going to go through and show, starting at age 55, how can he start taking money then? And then what are the key ages to look at until he hits 72 and then forward from there? So let's jump in. And I'll be honest, this is one of those things that I kind of nerd out about. You've heard me say that many times before, and I want to make sure I'm getting out of the way here. But there are a lot of things you can do. There are a lot of ways you can do this right, to where you can really optimize both the income that you're getting. You know, Frank needs $6,000 a month after taxes to cover his expenses, and to do that on a really tax-advantaged basis. So you're making sure that you're paying as little in taxes as you have to. I'm all about paying as much as you should to the government. Don't give them a tip. So that's where I'm coming from on this. So let's jump in. Looking at age 55, Frank's retiring. You might be thinking, hey, I can't touch my 401k or my IRA until I hit 59 and a half. So what do? What does Frank do? The first thing he's going to look at is this UPS stock that he has down here. I've ran into a lot of UPS employees that have worked there for over 30 years. They almost all have UPS stock that they've accumulated over that time. They're sitting on 6 figures of stock, and it has a really low cost basis. And I've talked about something similar to this in a past video, but I want to go through it again. So they're sitting on $200,000 worth of stock. They probably put $50,000 into it, but it's grown really well over the last few years. So they're probably sitting there thinking, or you might be sitting there thinking, how do I sell that and unlock that value without paying a ton in taxes? And this is how you do it. You take advantage of when you retire at age 55 and you need that income, you can actually sell that stock, and as long as you're staying in a low enough tax bracket, you're going to pay low, even a 0% long-term capital gains rate. So that's what Frank's going to do. For these 4.5 years, he's going to start out by selling some of this stock. He's not going to sell all of it each year. He's not going to cover the entire $72,000 annually from that. But that's going to be the basis of his spending. We're going to sell that up to $41,000, which would keep you in that 0% long-term capital gains rate. And he's going to use that as the basis for his spending. From there, he's going to be pulling the rest out of his 401k. And you might be thinking, how is Frank doing that? He's not 59 and a half. And that's because of the rule of 55. That just means that if you retire, once you've hit 55 from your employer, you can actually withdraw from that 401k without taking any penalties. That's a really big deal. You want to make sure that you don't roll that money over to an IRA. So Frank has to keep that money in his 401k at that point to keep this available. But he's going to keep that money there. And so he's going to take out probably around $40,000 per year from the UPS stock. He's going to take out an additional $30,000 from his IRA. And this is going to keep him maximizing his income during that time frame, but minimizing his taxes. So that's going to get him to 59 and a half. At 59 and a half, he's going to go ahead and keep this going where it's at. Not going to change that. He's going to continue pulling money from his 401k. Again, no real changes here, but the biggest thing is if he needs some additional money that he doesn't want to pay taxes on at that point, he can pull from his Roth IRA as well. That's going to be available. So it's just good to know, no changes there. At 62, he's going to be having his pension kick in. So that's $4,000 a month. So that's going to be $4,000 of the $6,000 that he needs, right? Only $2,000 left over. He's going to pull that from his 401k, just like he's already doing. what he's going to do that's going to be interesting here is he's going to go ahead and take the extra money that he had been taking out of his 401k. He's actually going to convert that into a Roth IRA. So his taxes won't change. His income will be very, very similar. He'll still have the same amount to save, the same amount to spend, but he's converting that into after-tax money and locking in that current tax rate, so it'll be tax-free in the future. So that'll be great. That'll get him into the point where he's 67, Social Security kicks in, and then he's living great. Social Security and his UPS pension are going to cover his expenses. Won't be a problem at all. On top of that, just for round numbers, when you're looking at $1.2 million in investments, you can take out 5% per year and not run out of money. It's based on the Trinity study. It's I can get into the weeds there, but essentially you can take out $60,000 per year and expect that you're going to keep up with inflation and you're not going to run out of money for at least 30 years. So he can live on that $6,000 per month between the Social Security and the UPS pension, and add an additional $5,000 per month on top of that from his portfolio. So at that point, he's living on $10,000 or $11,000 per month, and he's doing really well. So that gets him to 67. At 70 and a half, one of the things I see often is, in the past, that's where you had to begin taking your requirement of distributions. That just means that the government wants to make sure that they're going to get what they see as their cut of your IRA. You put that money in, you got a deduction on the front end, and you didn't pay any taxes while that money grew. What they expect is that you're going to take that money out at some point. So when you take it out, that's when you pay the income taxes. So in the past, you had to begin doing that at age 70 and a half. In the last 2 years, that changed to age 72. We'll get to that in a second. But the only reason why you need to know about age 70 and a half at this point is that's when you can do qualified charitable distributions. I'm going to drop a link in the show notes below that has a whole article on this. But in short, you can make a gift from your IRA directly to charity. So if you support your church, if you have a favorite nonprofit, any kind of group that you support that's a 501c3, you can give from your favorite charity, or give from your IRA to your favorite charity, and it's not going to be taxed to you, and it's not going to be taxed to them. And so if you're already giving, you need to make sure you're doing that. So at age 70 and a half, that's going to come up. Finally, at age 72, you're going to mostly be taking out of your 401k at this point. Additionally, if you want to, you can take money out of your Roth, but let that grow if you can. Because again, it's tax-free whenever if something happens to you and you hadn't used it, your heirs will inherit that tax-free. That's a pretty big deal. There are many things that are like that. So at that point, you'll be mostly taking out your 401k, so you're meeting your RMD each year. A couple things to note, and this is pretty straightforward, but when you're looking at your setting up your bank accounts, your deductions, your withdrawals each month, make sure that you're withholding taxes. So anything that's coming out of a 401k is going to be taxed. What I mean by that is you're going to owe income taxes on it just like your regular paycheck. So what you want to do is tell your financial advisor, tell your Fidelity, Vanguard, whoever has your 401k or your IRA, it works the exact same way. Make sure that they're going to withhold for federal and state taxes. I don't know your tax bracket, but typically that's somewhere between 15 and 25% for most people on the federal side. On the state side, it's between 5 and 10%. What they'll do is they'll withhold that, and at the end of the year, you'll get a 1099, just like if you worked a job, if you were working as a contractor. So that way, you're not going to be surprised at tax time. No one likes to get a 1099 and says, hey, you had $100,000 in income last year, and you didn't put a single dollar back for taxes. So by withholding some of that money, you can have that taken care of. Same thing for your Social Security. Up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxed. Once you get above $44,000 in income, there's a whole formula to go through that. But just know that once you get above $44,000 in income, 85% of your Social Security will be taxed. They can also withhold money on your Social Security for taxes. Make sure they're doing that. Pensions work the same way, fully taxed. Make sure that's being withheld. And I say all this just because you don't want to be surprised at tax time. No one wants that. But looking at this, if you have questions, give me a call. Love to go through this. This is one of the things that I can kind of nerd out about all day. Because this is a really simple situation. There are a lot more moving parts I could talk about, but I also don't want to bore you too much. So thank you so much for watching today. If you have any questions, Go to plentifulwealth.com, shoot me an email at jeb@plentifulwealth.com, or give me a call, 606-775-0246. Thanks, and I will see you next week.